Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. My name is Elle. I'm here to speak about the Law of One again. So today we're going to be speaking about sort of the differences between inner discipline and inner discipline and technology, which may be sort of another way of saying inner seeking versus outer seeking. So how technology plays a role in that. And this is going to be a quote from Ra today. So first, before I begin, if any of this information seems helpful to you, you can get links to it at my website, theoneinfinitecreator.com. I have links to all the material. You can read or download it for free. And so I'm going to read this quote and then share my opinions on it, what it means to me personally, and I'll try to break it down a little bit as well, since Ra's words are often quite complicated and hard to understand for some people. Okay, so the quote begins from Ra, and this is session 52.2. Okay, so beginning the quote. The technology of which you, as a social complex, are so enamored at this time is but the birthing of the manipulation of the intelligent energy of the sub-logos, which, when carried much further, may evolve into technology capable of using the gravitic effects of which we spoke. We note that this term is not accurate, but there is no closer term. Therefore, the use of technology to manipulate that outside the self is far, far less of an aid to personal evolution than the disciplines of the mind-body-spirit complex resulting in the whole knowledge of the self in the microcosm and the macrocosm. To the disciplined entity, all things are open and free. The discipline which opens the universe also opens the gateways to evolution. The difference is that of choosing either to hitchhike to a place where beauty may be seen, or to walk, step by step, independent and free in this independence, to praise the strength to walk and the opportunity for the awareness of beauty. The hitchhiker, instead, is distracted by conversation and the vagaries of the road, and, dependent on the whims of others, is concerned to make the appointment on time. The hitchhiker sees the same beauty, but has not prepared itself for the establishment in the roots of mind of the experience. Ra, The Law of One, session 52.2, end of quote. Okay, so I want to go into, first of all, the beginning here, just to lay out some definitions and some insight. At the beginning, they say, the technology of which you as a social complex are so enamored at this time is but the birthing of the manipulation of the intelligent energy of the sub-logos. So the sub-logos is just a fancy word for sort of our sun, and it's another fancy word for like a sub-portion of the creator. You could consider the creator to be like the center of the universe, the big central sun, and then you can consider little, what we call it, just sub-logos, but step downs from the creator, which would be sub-logos, which would be your sun. But either way, the intelligent energy of the sub-logos would imply the intelligent energy of the logos or the creator. So basically the manipulation of the intelligent energy of the creator. And in this, they're speaking specifically of the gravitic effects of this sort of thing. I'm not going to so much go into that. I'm not really like a huge UFO fan, if that makes sense. But in a more physical way, what they're saying here is that, you can use technology and create UFOs, which seem to defy the laws of gravity and not needing fuel of certain matter, basically using the energy of the creator through technology to travel throughout space and throughout the galaxies. And there's apparently civilizations, many that go about that way of seeking. And then there's another sort of way in which they have they discipline themselves and open the chakras of the body and activate them and balance them to a certain degree, where you enter the indigo and violet rays of basically the top of the chakra system. And that is sort of the same thing, where you are experiencing the energy of the creator and using it in a way in which you can do things such as they would, like some civilizations would basically enter the indigo ray and the violet ray, and that's like entering intelligent infinity, in which case you bring down from the infinite something somewhat manifest. So what they could do is basically create a UFO with your mind, and then you can use that to travel the universe. In which case, you wouldn't necessarily need to travel per se, as much as you understand the unity of creation and oneness, and I believe you could just sort of pop from place to place, just manifest here or there. You don't need the technology manipulating the energy of the creator to move thousands of light years throughout space, etc., etc. You could just discipline yourself to the point where you essentially can create your own light body, which many of the UFOs that you see, they're either one of the two. They're either the technology version, which means that you're looking at like a true physical UFO, or you have the other sort of mental versions where you may be seeing a projection of what that civilization or entity who's projecting that UFO to you. It's more like the essence of their being, like the shape of the UFO and what it looks like and all its shapes is just like an expression of that entity's being who's creating it. Okay, so I said I wasn't going to talk about UFOs, and there we go. We just talked about UFOs for a long time, but it's all very related. So now let's just go back into, again, how technology is sort of like outer seeking, and the disciplines of the self and opening and activating the chakras is like the inner seeking and the inner discipline. So I'm not trying to hate on technology. Technology can serve us well. It can do many things to make our lives easier. That is all fine and well. The difference is that sometimes like I explained in other podcasts, this is similar to putting the mind before the heart. You don't want the mind running the show per se. It needs to be balanced with the heart. Maybe things should go through the heart and be informing the mind instead of the mind making all the decisions at the expense of the heart. I would somewhat make the connection to be that this is a similar thing. So technology is like, in essence, using the intellect and the mind, and the heart of seeking is like the inner seeking. So you just have this sort of the balance between the two, meaning you can probably use technology, but as long as you're at least understanding the importance of keeping the heart and the inner disciplines and the inner seeking as your main focus, use the technology as assistance. I don't see a lot of issue with that. That to me would sort of be like a balanced way of doing it. Okay? And I will back that up with Ra's quote, which just states here, "Therefore, the use of technology to manipulate that outside the self is far, far less of an aid to personal evolution than the disciplines of the mind-body-spirit complex, resulting in the whole knowledge of the self in the microcosm and the macrocosm." Seem to be reiterating what I was just saying. So, continuing on, to the disciplined entity, all things are open and free. The discipline which opens the universes opens also the gateways to evolution. I believe that Ra says in another quote, which I can't remember exactly, but it's something like, if the entity balance and activates up to the indigo violet rays, essentially, kind of perfecting your being, they indicate that the entity may walk the universe with unfettered tread, which is another fancy way of saying you just get to do whatever you want in a way. I mean, you're going to be in alignment with the creator and with what is, meaning that your little self isn't going to be going up against the harmony of the creator, in which case, you would basically just be able to do whatever you would like. Being that what are the steps? Know the self, accept the self, become the creator. So, in essence, that's the idea, is that you become the creator, walk the universe with unfettered tread. And they have, in the last paragraph here, Ra then indicating the difference is that of choosing either to hitchhike to a place where beauty may be seen, or to walk step by step, independent and free in this independence, to praise the strength to walk and the opportunity for the awareness of beauty. I will go even a little further step forward with this. So what is technology? Technology is I mean, you think of electronics, right? In my head the other day, after I was doing a sort of similar podcast about this, I realized that even to a certain degree, drugs are somewhat of a technology. So let's take this quote again in that perspective. The difference is that of choosing either to hitchhike to a place where beauty may be seen, or to walk step by step, independent and free. In this independence, to praise the strength to walk and the beauty and the opportunity awareness of beauty. The hitchhiker instead is distracted by conversation and the vagaries of the road and dependent on the whims of others, is concerned to make the appointment in time. The hitchhiker sees the same beauty but has not prepared itself for the establishment in the roots of the mind of experience. That very last sentence, when I consider this has always been my opinion, like if you do a drug, say, like everyone, I don't want to say it on the podcast, but like DMT or acid or something like this, LSD, those types of things are going to, sure, you might be able to see the beauty, right? You may hitchhike to a place where the beauty may be seen, and it is, in essence, sort of the same beauty. It might be a distorted beauty, but it might be the same beauty that you would see in the indigo violet activation experience. However, you do not prepare yourself for the establishment in the roots of mind of the experience, which means that you can't integrate the lesson and the experience into your being. It has no reference. The puzzle piece is there and you have nowhere to put it. So the puzzle piece just rattles around in your brain, confusing you. This is not ideal. I've always been of the opinion that I don't want to use those types of tools because they may be an easy way to get to the destination, but sometimes the destination isn't the goal. I mean, it may be the goal, but the path and the route to the destination is half of the fun. And then I also had that idea that, if I hitchhike to the place where beauty may be seen, maybe I hitchhike so much that my legs become weak and I cannot walk step by step independent and free because I've become so dependent on the whims of the technology. So you can see how I'm speaking here. We can even go further with the whole transhumanism thing, where we are entering the future. The future is going to be sort of electronics integrating with you, which is what they call transhumanism. I would think that when we make that choice, when we get to that opportunity to make that choice, I do believe we should consider this quote. Do we want to be part technology and part disciplined entity? I don't know if you want to do that. To me, that sort of seems like the similar way of, relying on the drug. It's not that you couldn't be the transhumanism thing and still have your inner discipline, but how hard it is to not look at your phone all day and to not be dependent on technology. It's difficult. So the more that you let the tech world integrate with you at the expense of your inner discipline and your inner seeking, I just want to give a fair warning. And I was wondering, should I do this? I was going to drop some conspiracy on you guys because I had a little bit of a revelation last night watching my awesome conspiracy videos that I like to watch. And I don't really share with this Law of One community too much because this information can not sit well with certain people. And I don't know, it's not really the nature of the heart of things. However, it is somewhat relevant to our world and our seeking, and I don't think that a lot of people even consider things of this nature. So quickly, I'm just going to run my conspiracy mind by you. They talk in the Law of One how we've had technology for a long time, very advanced technology, and it sort of gets slow drip to the human population. So let's just think about this. First, they give us the phones, right? The computers that are in our pockets all the time. We get used to the digital. We get used to the outside seeking. We become reliant on it. It's sort of training us to ignore the intuition, probably at the expense of the phone, at the expense of having this thing in your pocket that can connect to everybody at any time and tell you anything you'd like to know. Why would you use intuition when you have Google? Okay, so now the dependency on tech instead of intuition. Okay, and then now they're at the point where they're trying to get us used to certain medical procedures, and I would suggest that eventually that's probably just practice, just like now, how they gave us the phones. Now they're doing the medical procedures so that you eventually become just it just becomes easier for you to eventually accept adapting technology into your body. It'll eventually, I assume what it's going to be like, it'll be like, hey, please put this transdermal tattoo slash chip sort of somewhere on your body so that we can monitor the levels in your blood. We want to monitor for cancer-causing agents, or maybe for what types of vaccines you've received, things of that nature, right? And then, okay, so now that we've got you accepting this little medical device to monitor things for your safety, now we're actually just going to tell you what we really wanted to do, which is to give you a digital ID and cryptocurrency money, where all your money's electronic, and now that little thing in your arm also is tied to your digital ID, and now nothing you do is private. All of your money is controlled through central bankers, essentially, where they don't want you to leave your house or buy something within 5-10 kilometers of your house. Well, then you don't get to buy those things, because your little thing, when you go to scan it, you won't be able to buy the stuff. So I know that sounds really crazy, right? But you have digital money, digital ID, and all these, and then all this just reliance on technology. And I would just throw in here again, what is the nature of service to self, and what is the nature of service to others? Nature of service to others is acceptance, love, and understanding. The nature of service to self is control, manipulation, and control for the service of the self exclusively. There are service to others people on our planet and service to self people on our planet. I see those people who want to control us as that sort of service to self structure. I mean, whether they are actually service to self themselves or they're just being used, whatever, right? But anyways, just please keep in mind, the control mechanisms that they're slow dripping into our life, and they always tell you that they're at the, for your safety and for your freedom, for your safety, that's always at the expense of your freedom. And, well, how the state of the world and how the people in charge already sort of run it. So you want to give them more control. I would indicate you're jumping on, you're hitchhiking with them, but they're going to take you a place that you don't want to be. Okay, so there's the end of my conspiracy rant. I hope that you don't hate me if you're not the type of person that goes into conspiracies. But in essence, this is my podcast, and I'm sure you guys want to know a little bit more about the way I think, or you wouldn't be listening to this. So there, I have shared a bit with you, and I guess there's a lot of people sometimes who are like, hey, that's not very loving, etc., etc. But I mean, like, you're listening to the Law of One podcast. Have you read the Law of One? They talk about how the U.S. government has secret alien space force and things of this nature. So if you can't at least dive into the realm of conspiracy, I mean, I don't know why you're here. It's not that I even ask that you accept anything that I state in this manner. It's more just the option, or what is it, the true mark of wisdom for to be able to entertain an idea without accepting it. So, entertain the idea. I could be right, I could be wrong, but I've been around for a while, and I kind of see how our reliance on technology is a certain form of trickery. And I would just be careful with that, because it's so easy to become just sucked into the technology at the expense of everything that's good in life, which is the inner seeking, the will to know the truth, like not being perfect, not necessarily looking sleek and all new and futury, you could be a dirty hippie and that might just be fine. And at the same time, if you like technology, that's fine. I like technology. We're using it right now, right? But to listen and make this podcast. So if you can use it in an ability to serve, then great. You're somewhat balancing it in the most appropriate manner. Okay. So I believe that I have gone on long enough. Thanks for listening in. If any of this serves you, please feel free to support me at theoneinfinitecreator.com. I appreciate a lot. There's also links to all of this material, the LL Research, the group that releases all this raw material and everything for us to read for free. We always appreciate their service. And yeah, it is Friday, so I love you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. I'm sorry I didn't make a post yesterday. Human aspects come up, and I need a little rest here and there. So I took a little rest day yesterday, but I will be posting over the weekend, and I'll be back Monday with another podcast. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.